Hey, my Healthy Wisdomers community. I will be launching on Patreon this month, and I would love to invite you all to support me with a small monthly subscription at Patreon/Dr. Jen Chen, so I can continue to bring you value and continue to create content that will contribute to your growth, and maybe even challenge you to get out of your comfort zone. Your support will help us empower each other on this amazing journey we have together. So join me with the link below. Hi, welcome back to another episode on the Healthy Wisdom series with Dr. Jen Chen. All right, Healthy Wisdomers, today we're going to be covering the last of the 12 guiding principles of good governance and how it applies to our lives. Are you excited? Because the last one is actually one that actually brings all the principles together. And this is the principle of growth. Because ultimately, everything that we've done at every single stage of these principles is to enable us to actually grow. So without further ado, let's explore the definition of this principle of growth. The board is never satisfied with the status quo, ensuring a culture of innovation and risk management, not risk avoidance, to ensure growth. One of the sayings that I really like to quote quite often is that if we're not growing, we're dying. I know it sounds really dramatic, right? But it is true down to the cellular level, because Mother Nature in biology, if the cell has been formed, the ultimate purpose for it is to grow. You take any type of cell. Obviously, we want to talk about healthy cells growing further. But cancer cells multiply at such a fast rate because their ultimate purpose is growth. And here's the thing. We're all here for a reason, right? A lot of times, we kind of lose our sense of purpose. But if we can remember deep down that we are all here for a reason, to grow in one way or another, then it becomes more clear what it is that we might want to do with our lives ultimately, right? So if we are to grow in one way or another, whether it's in sales, in getting more likes, getting more comments, getting more raving fans, and I'm not just talking on social media, but all around us and in our lives, ultimately, what we want is to make a difference, right? But these results that we want from trying to make a difference come from growth. So here's my question to you guys. What's stopping us? Well, guess what? It's time to break out our journals. Let's take a few minutes to write down. What's stopping you from having the relationship, the family dynamics that you're dreaming of? What's stopping you from building the career, the profession, the business that you aspire to have? What is stopping you from living the life that you truly want? I want you guys to just pause, take a few minutes, write whatever's coming to mind, just kind of brain dump. What's stopping you from doing all those things? Take a pause and then we'll come back and we'll discuss further, okay? All right, guys. So one of the things that I have found to be important to acknowledge is to ask ourselves what's stopping us, right? And that's the exercise you just did. And now I'd like to ask you another question that'll further define what it is that's stopping us and, help you identify that so that you can see it more clearly, right? So look at your answers and see if they fit in any of these categories, all right? Does it fall under the category of a sense of security? Does it fall under economic well-being? Does it fall under a sense of belonging? does it fall under recognition? And last but not least, does it fall under control over your life? Now, all 5 areas that I have just alluded to are areas of basic human needs. So take a look at the answers that you have written down that is stopping you from doing, getting, living the life that you want. And see if any of those answers fall under those categories. And if they do, put them under those categories. Because then in a future episode, when we start to really unpack further, we can come back to this exercise and review and really break it down. All right? So for the time being, I want you to at least identify it, be aware, bring it into your consciousness, bring it to your focus so that you at least know where you're at, right? And then with this awareness, we're going to help you move one step further. Okay? So the next question is, what's the one step that you can take today to move towards that relationship, career, or life that you want? Again, I want you to pause, take a few minutes, write it down so that you can actually look and think and prepare yourself for the next step. Okay? All right. So, what is the next step that you can take today? Right? And these are all small baby steps. So, for example, would one of those steps be make the call? Whether it's to that person, whether it's to an institution, whether it's to a certain place, service, department, whatever it is it to make that call? Right? What's another step? Perhaps to figure out maybe your finances, see where you're at, identify the baseline so that you know where you're heading. Maybe that's the first step. Or is it decluttering? I know a lot of times, in the modern day, we all have issues with too much stuff. I know I suffer from that. And decluttering has always been something that is a little bit of a challenge for me. So what I do is I often give myself a little bit of a schedule. And, every couple of weeks or so, I will designate a certain time frame where I would declutter, right? And I will pick a certain area of my room or of my place that I want to actually declutter and reorganize. So those are just some examples of that one step that you can take today to move towards that end goal, right? Because it's part of taking action, right? Because that's how we're going to lead into taking action. Once you've identified the step, then you can take action, because then it becomes easier to take action, right? A lot of times, one of the biggest barriers is taking action. So ultimately, that's step number 3. Take action, right? You've identified the potential barriers. You kind of know what category it belongs in so that you can kind of work, slowly at it. And then you've identified some baby steps that you can do to move towards that end goal. And then the last but not least, to take action. All right, Healthy Wisdomers, this concludes the Good Governance series. I'm so excited that we've had a chance to at least unpack in a very, very light, superficial level these 12 guiding principles of good governance. So please take a minute to subscribe, follow, and rate this episode so that we can share the wisdom. This is the Healthy Wisdom series with Dr. Jen Chen. I'll catch you guys next week.